I was reading an article today about the #1 most indispensable skill that's required to make it today in corporate America and business in any area of your life. And I've been talking about it, but there's a magazine that's out that really verifies it. You can look it up and it will certainly verify something that I've been emphasizing. It's this magazine, Fast Company magazine, and it says that the most in-demand skill of job listings right now is the power of communication. So if you're looking for a job or working on a job, if you want to advance your career, if you're ready to create a major shift in your life, I want you to put voice in the comments section. I'm going to tell you why. Because when you have communication power, when you can communicate, you can choose more than you can ever begin to imagine. It will take your life to a whole new level. I never forget Mr. Leroy Washington at Booker T, Washington High School in Miami, Florida. He said, develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are with, things that don't disrupt. We don't have time to give away our valuable time watching stuff that creates all types of trauma that won't put money in your pocket. See, I watch things. Is it positive? Is it productive? Is it productive? Profitable? Is it purposeful? Is it in the direction of where I'm going? You've got to pull that focus, your mind, on things that are positive, productive, profitable, and purposeful. If it's not in alignment with the purpose of your life, I want you to put voice in the comments section, because I want to share with you where I came from and the power when you see this, that I came from nothing. So I want to show you the power of communication, the power of discovering your power voice that people are now signing up for by the droves.
Why?
Because if you have a job or you want a job, your ability to communicate, to make a point, to negotiate, sell yourself, to sell your knowledge, your abilities and skills. If you're a speaker, you're a coach, you're a trainer, or you have some special expertise, or you have a business. You are the storyteller. You are the person who, using your marvels, you have to communicate what it is that you have to communicate what it is that you have, because people ask the question, who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? What are you good at? What are you good at? What is it that drives you? What do you love? What's your reason for being? Next line, I want you to progress and let me show you the power of being an effective communicator, what it can mean for your life. I used to promote concerts. These guys came to town. The Jackson 5, that's Michael Jackson standing down front. He was 10 years old at the time. Lastly, standing in the back, no one knew who he was going to become. As you look at yourself, look at your goals and dreams. No one knows enough about you, who you're going to become. This is the time that you spend working on yourself. This is the time you develop your mind. This is the time you create something. This is the time you work on your voice, because you have to make a point. You have to make a difference. You want to make an impact. And you have a story in people who are listening now, or people who have within them stories of greatness. Your ability to communicate will release and unleash those stories. I went from just being a disc jockey and promoting concerts to become a state legislator. I beat a 22-year incumbent just to show you the power of voice. Who would have thought one of those little kids holding the sugar cane would receive the Council of Peers Award of Excellence, called the KPA Award, National Speakers Association Top Award. Here's what I can say about you, and I don't even know you, can't even see you. You have something special. You have greatness in you. I have a saying, and probably you have seen, and probably you have seen it. Shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Nobody would have predicted I would one day give 4 elections at Harvard University. Your ability to communicate increases your credibility. Listen to me, it increases your credibility. It advances your career. If you're looking for a job more than your technical skills, above that and beyond that, studies indicate your ability to communicate. Why? Because you have to interact with people. You have to be able to get your point across to increase the sale or to make a sale, to make a point, to influence people, to bring the best out of them. Hey, your ability to communicate, that's your superpower. You don't know enough about yourself to be a critic. You were born for greatness, even this place where we are right now. You were born with greatness. You're born for this period where we are right now. Weren't born for this time. You'd be taking a dirt nap. don't take your story, don't take your voice, don't take your ability to communicate, to influence, and make a difference in the world to your grave with you. But if not, your ability to communicate will establish a national and international reputation. I've spoken in over 51 countries, from nothing. And so as you look at yourself, I want you right now, because then look at yourself. I want you right now, because then look who would have thought. And I ask you, what is left in you? Imagine if you will be on your deathbed, standing around your bed, the ghost of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities given to you by life. But you, for whatever reason, you didn't pursue those dreams. We never saw your greatness. We never heard your story. You never heard your story. You never used your voice, your impact that you were born with. And there they are, standing around you, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, "We came to you, and only you could have given us life. Now you must die with you." What dreams, what talents, what abilities, what skills die with you? Live full, die empty. And I'm so glad something's happened to you and something's happened for you. I'm looking for people who are ready to transition out of jobs that are not them. I'm looking for people who perhaps lost their job or lost their business and want to rebuild their lives. I'm looking for people that are hungry to make a dramatic and radical change in their situation and in their income. If you want to make more money, if you want to make a greater impact with your life, if you want to do something that gives your life a sense of purpose and power and meaning, I want you to put voice in the comments section. And as you think about yourself, think about your goals and dreams. Don't underestimate you. When I talk about you, wonder why people say, "Why do you talk so passionate about self-development?" Because when you don't have enough courage or insight to know that the life that you're living is not you, then it's time to move on. Life will move on. Life will move on. You see, you've got to take a chance on you. You've got to bet on you. And one of the things that might look at my brothers and sisters, the dramatic difference between my brothers and sisters, and I tell you, I'm a risk taker. I bet on me. I took a chance on me. You can't grow. You can't become your best. You can't be happy. All successful people are excellent communicators. So how do you communicate more effectively with others? Now, the first one is a profound communication principle and the first agreement. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Words have the power to create or destroy, and a careless comment can alter a relationship forever. But it's a good idea to choose your words carefully and consider their impact before you put them out there in the world. So, before you speak or write, I want you to ask yourself these 4 questions. Is it necessary? Is it true? Is it true? Is it kind? And is it helpful? If you don't get yeses to those questions, then don't say it. One of the things I observe is simply this. A lot of people are very careless with their language. I mean, the words you use either lift up your energy, the words you use either make you more creative, or the words you use deny your talents. Think about the great dictators. Their words of hatred, their words of toxicity, their words of breakdown caused the people around them to do sometimes incredibly terrifying acts. And then you look at people like Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King Jr. or Mother Teresa. You look at the great business builders, you look at you look at a lot of the great artists, and they were so careful with their words lifted people. That's really what great leaders do. They use the language of leadership. And I see this everywhere. Someone very close to me who was a little sloppy with her language said, "Oh, I forgot to do this. It's not on my to-do list. I should punch myself in the face." If you say that every day, what's that doing to your self-esteem? You say that over a lifetime. What's that doing to your self-identity? And as you know, your income is a function of your self-identity, and your performance is a reflection of your personal story and the way you build your self-architecture. And the way you see yourself in the world is in part through your words. You're never going to rise any higher in terms of your impact in the world than the way you see yourself if you see yourself as average. Well, you're not going to read the books, go to the events, do the study, put in the training time, find the mentors, do the work to rise to world class, because you're running an interior psychological story that says you're running an interior psychological story that says you're average. And the players are somehow different from you. If deep down inside you're coming from scarcity and you think, you know what? I'll never have more than the salary that I'm making because of the story that you have through the words you've used. well, then you're not going to go out there and ask for the big order. You're not going to go out there and ask for the big business. You're not going to read the books on financial mastery, because deep inside you would say, what would be the point? I'm not one of those people. And if you want to rewire your self-identity so you go in the world and you're literally operating at legendary, then you absolutely must dial into this first point of what legendary leaders do in terms of the way they speak, which is get your precision of languaging right. Because like I say, the great leaders, how do they transform humanity? Through their words. How did the great military generals get their armies to go out there on fire? It was through their words. So calibrate your language, sir, your words to yourself, our world class, and also the words you use to your team, to your customers, to your loved ones. So incredibly important. And this leads me to the next communication skill that's probably the most critical skill for everyone on the planet to master. And that is the skill of effective listening. Now, the undeniable truth is that so many of us are terrible listeners, and there can never be effective communication without both parties being as focused on the listening part as they are in the speaking part. Because if you aren't really listening and responding to what the other person is actually saying, ultimately all you're really doing is having a conversation with yourself. Now, here's an invaluable tip. Whenever you're having an important conversation, be it with your spouse or your partner, with your child, with an employer or a customer, or someone on the other side of the political divide, let them go first. Don't interrupt them and argue with them. Let them empty themselves out first. Remember this? You can't pour water into a full glass. You have to let the water out before you can have more put in. Instead, really listen to their point of view. Be curious. How is it that they've come to feel this way, to have this point of view? What is it that they are needing you to hear? Now, this takes a commitment to really want to know what the other person is experiencing and needing. Sometimes when you've done your best to listen closely to someone, you may not have heard exactly what it was they were trying to say. And that's why it's so important for you to double check and make sure you've really understood them correctly. And the easiest way to do that is before you speak to say, so what I'm hearing you say is, and then repeat back to them what you think they were saying, what they meant to say, and then give them the opportunity to clarify any misunderstandings that you might have before you respond to them. It's always best to make sure you're really responding to what they're really saying instead of what you think they're saying. The more you practice, again, quality of your performance is all about the quality of your practice, and the more you actually practice speaking up when you know you want to speak up, the more you want to speak up, the more you will actually step into your next level of power. When you actually speak up towards someone and you tell them how you're feeling, tell them what's most important to you. Well, if it's the right relationship, one that's meant to be in your life, whether it's professional or personal, that is really a gateway into the other person having the permission to open up as well. If you can think and speak and write, you're absolutely deadly. Nothing can get in your way. So that's why you learn it, right? It's like when I can't believe that people aren't just told that. It's like it's the most powerful weapon you can possibly provide someone with. I mean, I know lots of people who've been staggeringly successful and watched them throughout my life. Those people, you don't want to have an argument with them. They'll just slash you into pieces, and not in a malevolent way. It's like if you're going to make your point and they're going to make their point, you better have your point. You better have your points organized, because otherwise you're going to look like and be an absolute idiot. You are not going to get anywhere articulate, because that's the most dangerous thing you can possibly be. If you're going to speak effectively, you have to know way more than you're talking about. To do that, you have to do a lot of reading. That's on the input side. Then on the output side, well, there's some tricks, techniques. Let's say, like, if you're speaking in front of a group, you are not delivering a talk to a group. That's not what you're doing. The talk isn't the package thing that you present to a group. There isn't a group. There's a bunch of individuals, and you talk to them. So when I talk to a group, I always talk to people one at a time. And that makes it easier too, because you know how to talk to a person. It's like, can you talk to 1,000 people? Well, probably not, because it's too intimidating. But there isn't 1,000 people there. There's 1,000 individuals look at an individual and you say something and you can tell if they're engaged, they look confused, or they look interested, or they look angry, or they look bored, and they give you feedback about how you're doing. The people that I've watched in my life, the access are they have skills. Clearly, that's a minimum precondition, but they're also very, very good at articulating. So whenever they negotiate, they're successful. Well, that's kind of like the definition of success in life, right? You negotiate and you're 6 doesn't mean you win, because if you're a good negotiator, if you're really the negotiator, everybody walks away from the negotiation the rail. So then people line up to do things. And that's all dependent on your ability to communicate. So the practice number 5, key to communications, is there are 4 basic personality styles. The first is called relators. The relator is very high on people orientation and indirect. They are quiet, self-contained, not particularly expressive. They're sensitive, people-oriented, and concerned about other people's opinions. If you're communicating with this person, it requires slow, low-key, easy-going, friendly, almost warm and fuzzy. Now, the third type of person is what we call the director. The director, these people are bottom line-oriented and make quick decisions. They don't get a lot of detail. They're most concerned with, let's get results, get to the bottom line, cut to the chase. The fourth type of personality is what we call socializing, and sometimes they're called express themselves a lot. The socializer is outgoing, correct, valuable. They're very people-oriented. This person's primary motivation is achievement and achieving with and through other people. They like to talk cheap. What are you doing? How did you do it? Do it. How did it work? Let me tell you what I did and how it worked for me. Many times they become managers or executives because they have highly integrated personalities. They're very concerned about ourselves, but they're also concerned about people. Now, everybody you meet is in one of these 4 quadrants or groups. The mistake that most people make is that they treat everyone else as if they were just the same as they were. However, no matter which style of communicator you are, 3/4 of the people you meet are something else. Now, there's no right or wrong, better or worse style. These are almost born into people. You can see them children from an early age. However, your job in asking questions and listening to people is to find out which style they are, and then to practice personality flexibility so that you can get along with a greater number of different types of people.